Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. Today is an interview day, and we have Franklin on, pushing 47 apes, to come on for this interview today. Franklin, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are y'all doing? I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me on. I'm so excited. That was a nice intro. I really liked it.
Thank you. Yes. Actually, I was scrolling through our Twitter DM history. We've literally known each other for a year, which, is kind of crazy.
Time flew by there.
Yeah. And I was scrolling up and our first messages were about trading Top Shot moments. And this was back when, you really just had Top Shot moments and you didn't really have any other NFTs. And so, and now you have almost 100,000 followers on Twitter, which is crazy. You've really blown up. You said your first NFTs ever were NBA Top Shot moments. Now you have 47 apes as well as a bunch of other super valuable NFTs. You had gifted me a Funk at one point, which I held on to it for a bit and then they pumped and then I sold it. And let's see what else. We met in person. I'm just going through a little history here because I like to kind of, give a little background. We met in person at this Gutter Cat Gang event in Miami, which was awesome. But basically, a lot of people just know you as, the massive whale that owns a bunch of apes, and, always posting slideshows of your apes and everything. But they don't know the Franklin that was just getting into NFTs, and the Franklin that, didn't have all these super valuable assets. And so I just want to say it's been a pleasure watching your journey. I'm really proud of how far you've come and just being able to kind of be there and see your journey and, your grind towards acquiring all that you have. I just wanted to say congratulations on everything that you've accomplished so far in this space.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That really means a lot. And I can say the same thing about you, wherein, it probably was over a year ago now where I first DM'd you. I've really looked up to you. I still do. But in terms of Top Shot, you were you were the one who I was always dang, if only I had what Jennifer had in terms of, because I even asked you about specific moments. I was like, wow, how did you get that? So it's been a pleasure definitely seeing you and your journey in this podcast too. And like I said, off the air, I really wanted to be on this podcast. I was too scared to ask. So I'm glad that you finally asked me. It's definitely full circle moment. And like you say, there was a time before May 1st where I had no apes and all I had was Top Shot and market was bleeding. And I was it's probably the equivalent of, obviously Top Shot is not a full project, but it's kind of the equivalent of you buying into a project and it's no way out. So that's kind of how I was feeling. But people like you who I interacted with were so positive, and obviously I'm a huge NBA fan. So that all made up for, whatever, drama or whatever bad feelings we had about the project at the time. If you had any, I did. I never was, I never was going to just completely just quit. I was going to keep going and going and going forever. And then, the apes, seeing a lot of people change their profile pictures to apes, even the people who are following on Top Shot, that was just a big game changer for me. So that's kind of what got me started on this current journey. But for sure, if anybody didn't know me back then, I still try to be the same person. That's why I kind of do these real small trades, real small flips, still be active in the community, because I still kind of have that grinder mindset from back when we were talking about Top Shot all the time.
Yeah. And you know what? There was a lot of Top Shot people that, Top Shot was kind of getting boring, just kind of going down. And a lot of people kind of jumped ship and got into Bored Apes, because they were getting bored on Top Shot. And, you were one of those people. And I remember you bought your gold ape from Pranksy for, I forget how much, like a couple ETH.
Oh, it was 4 ETH.
4 ETH. Okay.
Which was, in terms of, in Top Shot, we always talk about fiat. So that was what, 12, ETH was about the same price, probably a little less, like 2,800 or so. So that's probably like $12,000 or so dollars that I spent.
That was a lot.
Which in Top Shot money, that's a lot of money. So like to me, I was like, oh my gosh, am I doing the same mistake? Because I bought a $17,000 LeBron James Finals Series 1 dunk, and also a lot of 3,000 and 4,000 LaMelo Ball Top Shot debut moments. But the dunk was from existing crypto. The rest of it was all from credit cards. So I all of the other stuff I put into apes were from like literally just all the crypto that I had. So it was pretty much all or nothing moment with with the apes. And it was like, okay, this if this ever gets anything close to CryptoPunks, I'll be a millionaire. I obviously did not see this coming at all, but definitely the gold ape, it was something where I wanted to flip something. I wanted to flip one. Can I flip one NFT and just be happy? Because I couldn't flip any Top Shot. Like, can I at least get a win? That was what I was asking myself. So buying the gold ape at 4 ETH when the floor price was, 1/15 of that, it's pretty big gamble. So it was really hard to flip that. I think the lowest I ever listed was 16 ETH and nobody bought it. Thank God. And then once I got a couple nice like 0.1, 0.2 ETH flips on some apes, I was like, okay, I finally did something right in NFTs.
That is so crazy. Because sorry, Michael, I'll let you say something in a second.
No, you're good.
I was just gonna say I kind of have a similar story where I also, when I first found out about Top Shot, I literally like put thousands on my credit card. I didn't even have any money, and I had crypto, but it was like I'm not supposed to touch my crypto type of thing. Right. And then later ended up kind of putting most of my crypto into NFTs. So I was like, yeah, it's so funny, like similar story there.
I had a big XRP bag because I was like into like the ban coins, sort of drama, and I was like, okay, well, people might like ban stuff that they can't really get anywhere else. So that price really has to like stay the same or gone down a lot in the past year. But I luckily pulled out of all my like crypto holdings and went all into NFTs. Either NFTs or Top Shot. That was basically my whole crypto from May through.
Good thing you picked
May through now.
ETH NFTs.
Yeah. I got extremely lucky. Like that's not. Yeah. Let's dispel the whale notion here, because me when I was putting money on my credit card to buy Top Shot moments, so it's totally different. Right. I look at things totally differently than what people probably see me as now.
That's wild, man. Did you mint a bunch of apes, or did you just kind of, as it started going, you started piling them up?
So I minted 3. This was the night of April 30th, going into the morning of May 1st. And it was just crazy. Like what we saw with Moonbirds this past weekend, it was probably a similar thing, except our space was a whole lot smaller. It was just pretty much just the Top Shot people I followed. And people were just changing their profile pictures like left and right. And I'm like, what are these apes? I had done like no research on the website. Obviously those are not tips to follow minting a project now, but I just did no research. I only had a work computer, so I couldn't do any crypto trades on, installing software or anything on there. So I had to use my cell phone. So I was on Twitter on my computer.
Wow.
Checking my cell phone and like moving crypto back and forth on my cell phone, and connected to the website to mint 3. And that was my first time I ever minted any NFTs on Ethereum. Then I finally took a look at the website and the bathroom and all that stuff, and that was pretty cool. The lore and all that, the story behind being a Bored Ape, the swampiness and the sort of, controversial, like what, imagining what could possibly go down in a swampy club in what we now know as Miami, with a whole bunch of rich folks, with eyes popping out their heads and stoner eyes or like, crazy looking teeth. Like there's a lot of stuff going on down there. So I bought into all of that, and I minted 3. I could have minted more, but I was scared they're going to sell out first. So I was like, I'm not going to bother with my money over from crypto anymore. And then I discovered OpenSea, and that there was a secondary market. So I was like, okay, let me go back in that's the story of our lives, right? We say no while the price is too low because we're like, nah, it's not worth it. And then the art looks a lot better when it's like 3 or 4x, and we're like, okay, yeah, we should buy it.
That's wild, man. And then because you're still buying them, right? Do you buy the ETH address every time? I see you have 47apes.eth.
No, it's a challenge. I'm just waiting for you guys for me.
Okay,
And,
for sure.
So somebody got 48. I think somebody got 48 and 49. I haven't checked 50, but if 50 is there, you can take it. 47. When I had 45, I think 45 was taken, but 46, 47 wasn't. So I went ahead and got those two. But it's almost like a challenge to myself. I always try to buy the number up ahead just to see, just to sort of manifest it. It's a lot easier to manifest when we actually have the money to do it, of course. But at this point, I really have to trade my way up to get 48.
Yeah.
But for all the land, for all this other side speculation, I hope that should be easy. If not, I'm happy with what I got now. But in terms of like the demand for the ENS, I mean, it's crazy now. But I want to be creative in my ENS name so that if the basic 48apes.eth is taken, I'll come up with a new ENS name on the spot. That's like it'll probably have the word Franklin in it, so like people know it will have the word Franklin and the number of apes I have in there somewhere. It doesn't really matter like how short or how long or how easy it is. It's people will read it and know it's me. So that's kind of all I want out of that. So people are like looking at who holds a certain NFT or who made a transaction. They'll just know it's me. It doesn't really matter. Like it's not. I'm not trying to make the ENS the brand yet. When I get to 100, my goal is to 100,000 Twitter followers. If I ever get there, I'll change my Twitter name because I made my Twitter name on election day of 2020 to follow prediction markets. I was sort of lightly into crypto at the time. So it had nothing to do with NFTs at all. And I never changed it because I'm like, if I change it to some sort of NFT type name and then I go to zero, then I look like a fool. So I've always kept the same name. But yeah, if I ever get to 100,000, it'll be nice to like probably change my name so people can recognize it better. And then I could be in sync where I have like an ETH address and my username, maybe change my OpenSea name, who knows? But as of now, I'm just throwing different names out and see which ones work. And I'll just make up some for ENF.
That's amazing, man. And then I also see your second favorite project. Well, your only other project listed is Smilesverse. And we actually had Wahid and Giovanni on a few weeks ago. I'm a huge Smilesverse fan. So is Andy. You can see Andy's profile. We've always talked about that. Are you a holder there? Big fan of that project?
Yeah, so I was on their team, so I got a lot for free, and I started trying to buy. I tried to buy and flip some after that, either whether it was unrevealed or revealed. I was like, you know what? Let's just keep pumping up some volume into this project. But now I've learned, I probably shouldn't be doing that as somebody who's that strong of a supporter. Probably just hold on to what I got. So my story with Wahid is that shortly after the apes minted in early May, I probably saw somebody retweet or something, a meme he had of Young Thug and Lil Durk. They were like in the studio, and there's a viral picture of Young Thug like pointing at something, and Lil Durk beside him, sort of like trying to figure out what it was. And so Wahid made it, it's patented 3D art. He made a recreation of that meme and sold it off as an NFT with Giovanni's help. And I placed, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to finally buy a meme that I can afford. It was like a big deal for me that I felt like, I'm contributing to the NFT world, helping this guy. I had no idea who he was and how big he was on Instagram until, during the auction I did research. And the price, the piece went up to like 0.5 ETH. And ETH at the time was like probably $4,000. So I was like, man, this is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a picture. I know I have apes. I have a lot of apes, but maybe I should focus on buying another ape if I'm going to spend so much money. So I sort of backed out the auction and let I was in the lead, and I told the other guy I'm not going to bid anymore. And then I got outbid by somebody else. So I was like, okay, well, that just saved me a little bit of money. But I was so proud that I was able to like pump up the bid from like 0.2 to 0.5. So I feel like I made a lot of money by pumping up the bid a little bit. He had no idea who I was, so I felt pretty powerful at the time. So I was okay, well, maybe this guy might like me or remember me next time. So we started DMing each other and chatting, and I was really proud of him for getting his first auction sold off and everything. And then the conversation moved probably by the next week, once I realized like I got really extremely bullish on the apes in terms of having full commercial rights to your ape and marketing it. So I was like, you know what, maybe if I could like, I knew why he was going to be something special because he had already had success on Instagram and the hip hop industry. So I was like, if I could get like some sort of signal of my NFTs on Wahid's art, that would be like a bucket list, like ultimate goal, and would validate me owning all these apes. So my apes featured on his Genesis piece and a lot of his other one of ones. And so that was like really like, awesome moment for just me as an art collector to like, because I'm not an artist at all. And now I'm like, I went from, a nobody to like my art's featured in Wahid's work. It's a pretty, in the span of like, 2 months. And so that was just, from then on, I'm like, okay, this guy's my favorite artist. I'll support whatever he does. I keep getting beat out on his one-of-one auctions, but the thing with NFTs is it's pretty easy to contact, whoever owns his pieces. So one day I'll probably get my hands on something. I actually bought a lot of what turned out to be his first edition piece. And that gave people allowed list spots for his Smiles collection. And so I sold a lot of those for huge profits. And by buying so many at the beginning, I was able to get eligible for a one-of-one piece that I have not asked him to make yet because I know this, he has so much more room to go in the space that there's no need for me to go into to get a piece made right now. And because I'm not an artist, I don't really know what to put on it. So I'm just going to wait, as long as I can until I really need a one-of-one piece. But it's always good to know to have that in the back of of my mind. Like, okay, I got a Wahid one-of-one piece coming down the pipe. And then, of course, my apes on the OG Smile skateboard. So that's my favorite trait of the collection.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that whole connection there. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he was my first ape derivative. If you count, the ape being on his artwork as a derivative.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just curious. So I had tweeted out seeing if, maybe some people from the community wanted to ask a question. And so I kind of combined a couple of questions that people had asked and came up with this question. So this is the community question here. Why do you continue to flip NFTs and accumulate more apes and just more NFTs in general when you can comfortably retire off of what you already have right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think about that every hour of every day, to be honest. Not in terms of I want to get out, but in terms of like, all right, I could just, get out of here and have fun on Twitter every day and not even have to care about the world. But I just always go back to, now that we're hitting this like 1 year reminiscent period, it's like, I'm trying to think back of like what got me involved a year ago with this project. And my reasons pretty much hasn't changed. Like there's still a lot to be done out here with these apes. Like we didn't know the dogs were coming. We kind of knew the mutants were coming, and they've obviously been a huge success beyond anybody's expectations. We sort of knew ApeCoin was coming. That's been a huge success. Nobody knew about this. Now I'm getting into the rumors and stuff, but nobody knew about the other side and land and stuff until probably around the time ApeCoin dropped. So around when I got my ApeCoin money, I was like, okay, finally I can retire. But then like the day after I sold everything, they hit us with the other side teaser video that's just gone super viral on Twitter. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think I made a mistake. Like they're not done yet. They're literally just getting started. So I shouldn't have sold my ApeCoin. So now I'm trying to make up for it by buying a whole bunch of apes with all the money that I got from that sale. And even looking at the roadmap, I shouldn't have even had a thought that they were going to be done because we're still at the beginning of the roadmap. So there's still so much left in this project, and them buying out Larva Labs sort of solidified Yuga as the flagship collector of all profile picture NFTs. Pretty much almost from now on, it's almost like we're in year one of an Apple or a Google or a Amazon. At this point, because their company is so big and so wide, and they are incorporating so many more communities. So I figured that it would be I would be doing myself a disservice by not seeing what else they have to offer, because we're just getting started. Maybe if this was the end of the roadmap, maybe it would be a good time to sort of exit. So that's the reason. So that's reason one. It's like basically that was a long explanation of me saying we're still early, and not that I expect price to go up 2 or 3 or 4x, but it's almost like it's almost like become a safe asset where I don't see it going down too much because not many people are going to sell their final ape. So as long as people aren't selling their last ape, I'm not going to sell my first ape. We're still going to be on that same level. The other thing is continuing to make money in the NFT space while holding on to the apes. So like the day one, I had 30 apes. I never had less than 25. So I've always been able to sort of grind things out with small flips or big flips, even counting losses too, with money that I don't have to sell apes to get. And once I went back up from 25 to 30, that was a huge accomplishment for me. And then that was a long time ago, it seems like, but every ape since then is always like a huge accomplishment to kind of check it out for like, okay, I can store this ape in the vault and still have money to play around with. And so that's been able to help me keep growing, and all these airdrops and ApeCoin, all that stuff, give me more money. And then sort of like a end to that reason, I am trying to get a license deal with these apes. And so that would of course require me to hold on to the apes. So I didn't want to cash out. Obviously you can make money, but if you have a lot of money, you can just get interest from it. But there's different ways and things I can accomplish while holding on to the apes. For example, being the 7th largest wallet of the apes, there's not going to be any other investment, any other company that I'll be a top 7 holder of. And here in this project, it's like the most visible NFT project. The NFTs are growing exponentially, it seems like. So why would I give up sort of that social capital that could lead me to so many opportunities just by being a holder there, as opposed to being a former holder? A former holder won't get me as far, no matter how much money I have. So that combined with licensing my apes out and making income on my apes or holding the apes is the huge reason why I want to stay, because the income from licensing could sort of help me through any sort of 40 or 50% downturns in the market, because I would be making more than my current job. So those are things I've been looking at. I just never wanted to get too detailed on Twitter about it, but I have them here so anybody listens would know. But those are sort of the reasons why I'm staying in.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching another interview you're on, and you were saying, you basically hold for future utility and airdrops, and there's kind of more perks of being a holder and getting all these perks versus just like selling out.
Right, and then the meetups too, the real life events. Those are key. My favorite part of the roadmap, I think, it's going to be the Real Life Club in Miami. So we haven't gotten that far yet.
That
but
would be cool.
Yeah, can't wait. You're down in Miami too, right? Because we're both in that Magic City Apes chat. You live down there?
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I keep asking for you guys to pick me out the chat so you can bring somebody else in. Saying no.
They don't want you out of there. Yeah.
I definitely do not want to leave, but I don't want to be the one living the farthest away either when we're missing out on somebody. But for sure, as long as you guys have me in there, I'm enjoying myself. Yeah,
that's a good group of people. Yeah, I'm in Parkland, Florida, so I'm not too far. I'm like 40 minutes from downtown Miami.
I plan to go to the Formula One race in a couple of weeks. I just need to
cool. Okay. Yep.
So that will be the next time I'll be in Miami.
Cool.
If anybody's down there, we'll meet up. Me and my wife.
That's what's up. Yeah, I'm sure probably a bunch of people go to that. Very cool. Talking about flipping, I was a ticket broker I say this all the time, but that's what I did before I got into NFTs, and I was constantly flipping. And when I started NFTs, that's all I did. I was grinding and flipping every day. I wanted to hear some of your strategies, and maybe even something people out there that are starting kind of small. There's like some of our listeners are just starting off, or maybe they have $1,000 to play with. What do you look for? What are some of your strategies when trying to do like a quick flip?
That's a good question. I'm definitely here to say I'm the best flipper, or maybe I'm known for the flip, but it's because I tweet about it. A lot of people make
for sure
high quality flips all the time.
Yeah,
so their strategy could be totally different from mine. and it might work better. So don't, the financial advice here is to don't treat my strategy as the only method that works. But based on, my history of trading pre NFTs and now, pre NFTs wasn't that great in like stock market and stuff. I couldn't really make any good flips. Didn't know which stock was going to go up or anything. It was hard to get information. But it seems like it's a little bit easier for me in NFTs because we're dealing with a finite, a smaller number of assets here, a smaller group of people. We're kind of all trading with each other. So I think it's a little bit easier to spot out some trends. And I think the biggest source of alpha, other than, if you have a good paid Discord group, that's great, or a good private chat. But being on Twitter and being present there is really huge. Jenny's on there a lot, she would know. And that helps you find projects that are, either just have started to go up a lot, or maybe you're about to mint or get started. And so it will be really hard for a lot of us to make some good buys without having a friend or seeing some alpha on Twitter. And that's free. You don't have to pay any money for that. I mean, you had to pay for the Twitter Blue, of course, if you're on the Hexagon. But even before Twitter Blue, we were all flipping NFTs and hanging out on Twitter. So Twitter is a good source of alpha, making sure you follow the right projects that a lot of other people are also following. And then I use IC.tools to, this is a good visual of when and where the sales are. So there's a lot of projects now, a lot of people sweeping. So it's hard to get that curated list of projects that have high sales volume. So hopefully there's some improvement there in terms of like, maybe only look at projects above 0.05 E4 or something. So you ignore projects that are less than 0.01 that nobody's really buying, but just one person sweeping, because it's hard to discriminate or hard to count which projects have a large amount of buyers coming in versus which project is just one person buying the whole floor. So that sort of information you sort of have to determine on the spot when looking at fast sales. But yeah, I definitely like to buy into projects where it's being talked about a lot. I mean, it's always controversial because you don't want to buy the top and be somebody's exit liquidity. But if you could always get into the beginning of a good pump, or another metric that I look into is a project with a large number of sales in a short period of time, and you can customize a time interval on the website. So a project with a large amount of sales in maybe an hour or 12 hours, but the floor price has dipped a lot. So if the floor prices dip, 15, it's a lot of money, but like 15, 20, 30% in that time, in like 12 hours, that's probably a good time to buy the dip, because, what are the chances it's going to dip another 30% after? Probably low, especially with high sales that might come back up. So I think Moonbirds is a good example. I wasn't liquid to get into the dip, but it dipped to 14 yesterday morning from like 20 the night or the morning of, or the night or day before. And now it's probably like 22, 23. So that's all like 50, 60% gain on a really high frequency, high level, expensive blue chip. So that was the move to make. Yesterday there was still a lot of sales going on before price had just, got tanked all the way down. So you knew it was I won't say you knew, but you knew there's going to be still a lot of sales happening. You probably didn't know it's going to be a lot of large increase like that. So that's sort of like a pattern I've noticed. A third pattern, which didn't apply to Moonbirds, but applies to pretty much all these other NFT projects, is buying an NFT right after it gets revealed. You just have to time it right. So that would require being in the Discord, being on Twitter. Most of the time I'm not there for it, but if I ever catch a revealing project, it's always good to buy that dip, because that's pretty much a guaranteed version of high sales frequency, low floor price. You could probably see that in the Moonbirds when the Moonbirds opened the mint up to the public. I had already sold my proof pass mints for like 11 or so ETH, but I should have gotten back in once the public mint happened, because that was an instant reveal. So basically it's almost like the same as going from pre-reveal to reveal, because now you've opened up the collection to a lot of people who are just getting revealed NFTs. So that floor price dipped I looked at the chart and went down to 6 ETH, and before I could act on it, it was like at 11. So those are indicators that I see regular patterns happening where it's just, okay, there's a lot of sales going on and the floor prices dip. So that's, if I were to get started and if somehow I knew the information, that's probably all I would look for in terms of buying the projects. Obviously not, only have $1,000, you can't really go above 0.1, 0.284. So looking at floor prices, 0.05 to 0.1. What sucks nowadays is gas. So gas could, the lower the floor price, the higher percentage of your cost basis is in gas. So you have to be careful you're not going too low because you could pay double or triple the floor price in gas.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Yes. And I'm also curious because you had mentioned a little earlier, and it kind of caught me off guard. And you kind of like, do you still have a day job? Like you kind of mentioned that you still have like a job besides Web3
Yeah,
stuff.
I do. And personally, I work from home. So it's a lot different situation because when COVID happened, we all kind of left the office. So definitely changed around how I approached the workday and made my days a lot longer because it's so easy to get distracted at home, especially now in this day and age. So I try not to be on Twitter as much during the day. There's a lot of distractions there and, try not to spend as much money. And now I can't because I bought all apes. So that sort of helps out. So not being able to buy a lot of NFTs and, keeping off the phone for as much as I can during the day definitely helps. But yeah, being at home, I can sort of make my own hours, even though my coworkers probably might not like it. So in terms of like how long I want to keep the job, I think first I wanted to get to 50 apes. I know that's a lot of money, but hopefully with these airdrops and stuff, maybe I'll earn that much. It's insane to say that, but if it never happens, then I'll be completely happy. But that was my, now that I've gotten a little bit closer than I thought, that's what I wanted. So, but I didn't want to quit until I had a steady income outside of the job. I didn't want to quit and then just have a bunch of apes, and I didn't want to quit and sell all my apes either. So I owe it. I think I owe it myself to like still keep working, still keep learning in my job while holding on to the apes. So that's another reason why I didn't mention, the reasons why I held on to so many. But I don't want to quit my job. I don't want to have to sell my apes because I quit my job situation. Like there's a lot of people who do quit and go full time Web3, and they get a job in Web3. I would want to quit and just not work again. Like if I'm going to quit this job, I don't want any other job. So if I quit and I have no income, that's probably the worst situation for me. And I would rather, if I have no income, I'd rather just sell out some apes. But I don't want to do that. Like I said, I'm still bullish and we're still getting airdrops and stuff. So if I could make some sort of income through licensing or something like that, where it's almost like a guaranteed, I make this much money per year, then that gives me good reason to quit my job and focus on like making money outside of, NFTs and apes, but that doesn't require like, work. Getting licensing is kind of like passive income. So that's kind of my goal, is to make passive income.
Okay. Yeah. That's so crazy. Cause that reminds me of, I was listening to an interview maybe like a year back with Maxi, who, as we know, minted 1,200, but has now, sold all their Bored Apes. And they used to be the person that everybody would wallet watch. And they were like the person to watch back in the day. And I mean, they still have a ton of highly valuable NFTs. I would argue they're one of the biggest whales in the space. But I remember, and I remember watching and listening to an interview, and they were saying they still had their day job. And I was just like, what? Like, I was so confused. And, but, it makes sense because, Pranksy and you, it's like, you're using all of you're just kind of putting everything back in. And so, it's like you want to be able to keep accumulating more and, getting, you're trying to work your way up to 50 apes. And so it makes sense to me. But I think definitely a lot of people might be like, what? Why does he not just quit his day job? But it is nice to have like a stable income and, something that's like guaranteed,
Yeah. And then these jobs give you health insurance too. So, I don't know how much health insurance costs without having a job, but at least that's something I don't have to worry about right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So my next question that I have is, I am curious, why do you like to flex your apes so much, especially since you're doxxed? Do you have a fear of getting targeted, for getting your wallet wipes or anything like that?
That's a good question. I never had the collage until I think September, but because I didn't really know how to make it, I didn't have the ape images in high resolution. It was always a pain to get from the team until they finally released them all. So I didn't really, I didn't really have like a collection where I could store all the pictures of the apes. I was really lazy on that part. So I would just like screenshot them or save them on my phone if anybody wanted a picture of them. So even going, let's go backtrack even further to when I first bought all these apes. I tweeted that I had 30 apes the first day. Obviously, nobody cared because it was literally the first day. So people had minted, like I said, pranks in 1,200. So having 30 apes was like nothing. That was probably top 40 in ownership at the time. I didn't think it was, when I say, hey, I have 30 apes, I didn't dox myself back then, but I didn't think I was going to ever be like a target to be hacked or anything. I have come across, websites where they say enter your seed phrase. And that was back in the early, spring, summertime, where that was the easiest way to dox somebody was to make a website where you type your seed phrase in. And then we got smarter and learned not to do that. We have cold wallets. So now people are using all kinds of methods to scam. I mean, recently some guy had his MetaMask on his phone accessed because his iCloud got hacked into because he gave somebody over the phone a confirmation code to confirm them logging into his iCloud. And so it's just crazy the ways people come up with stealing stuff. And the most recent attempt I got was there's this project called rich.baby, where I used to mint a lot. So I was a heavy minter of that website and wouldn't have cared much about it at all if I never minted. But I got tagged in a verified account by Rich Baby, but it was like somebody else, that should have been the first red flag that I got tagged. But I clicked on the link and immediately, once I connected my wallet, which is weird because I'd already connected to the real website, they had a code that targeted all my NFTs, and one after one gave an automatic transaction for me to pay gas to just transfer it out. Luckily, at the top of the screen, I changed I added the Bored Ape contract to my address book to say, these are your apes, don't send them in like big letters. So I could see that if I paid gas and confirmed the transaction on my hardware wallet, because I needed that wallet to mint the rich baby apes that combined with the CryptoPunk. So it was close because if I really wanted to mint the rich baby, I would pay gas to confirm the transaction. It would take my apes. So once that happened, I was like, all right, this is getting really close to, I need to really dial back on, what websites I'm clicking on and what I'm doing here, because I would reject the transaction because there was no CryptoPunk for me to pick to mint. So I never actually clicked the mint button. It just popped up on its own. So that sort of set me off. Once I rejected one, another one popped up, and that never happens. So once, 2 or 3 of them pop up, I'm like, okay, this is not what it's meant to be. And what happened was the URL had the letter L for Rich Baby instead of the letter I. So in all caps, if you write the URL in all caps, it looks the same. But on your screen, it'll be in lowercase, and then I could see the L there. And I was like, oh, that's how they got me. So that's to answer your question, like, I guess I answered it with a situation where it almost happened. So it, like, each time that you see stuff like that, it makes you more, clutching on to those apes a little bit harder. So, it's always, I'm going to start doing this. I've already moved my apes around from hardware wallet to hardware wallet. So I'll probably do it a few more times just to start clean with wallets and keep telling myself, okay, don't mint anything with the apes in the wallet. But it's obviously hard when you're doing collections that ask to confirm your ape. So I think hopefully we'll move on past the technology where we need to use our ape wallet to validate things. So I just hope for the spaces for the greater good that, will keep us from clicking on links to websites we shouldn't be clicking on. And then in terms of like personal safety, always store your seed phrase in a secure location. So like, it's not like I'm walking around with the seed phrase in my pocket. So if somebody wanted to like take my apes, they'd have to they have to go rob a different location that I've never, tell anybody where it's at. And I don't know the seed phrase by heart. So it's like, because best of luck to whoever could get that, because I don't even know the answer. So that's that is what it's like. Okay, it's not like I'm posting on Twitter pictures of my Lamborghini or flashy jewelry, things that the general public knows. It's like makes you a target. I think we're still at the point where we're still pretty early on that like I post my ape collage to Facebook and like nobody cares, gets no interactions. So it's not like something I'm worried about where like somebody's like, hey, there's Franklin, I'm going to steal all his apes. Yeah, I think, people who know and are aware of NFTs and the blockchain know that you can't really, force somebody to transfer apes if they don't have the devices with them to do it, or a seed phrase to log into their account. So that's why I think that's why a lot of people lose their apes, digitally. It's a lot easier to take somebody's ape that way than to go, bust in their house and like somehow get access to their wallet. So that is what I think separates, digital assets from physical stuff. Like if I had a Lamborghini outside, somebody could easily, steal that or take that, or, the more people would target a Lamborghini owner than a Bored Ape owner still. I think we're still in that phase. So I thought it was, to me, it's still just pictures when I flex them. And I think to anybody who is, who wants to get money through violent manners, I don't think they see pictures as a source of like, physical wealth. They probably will still want the physical items.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, we all do physical stuff and I'm walking around in the metaverse and, someone runs up on me and, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
They might take a virtual baseball bat.
Oh my God.
So I might have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. In my city where I live, I have a bunch of little doodle stickers and I'm like, I don't want to put my doodle stickers around my city because like, then someone will know I live in the city and like,
oh my goodness.
I'm very much more skeptical than you. Like, I'm very much like,
Well, I don't have any stickers to put around, but even so, I mean, it's almost like, okay, what if you had a sticker of let's say you had a Lamborghini. If you put a sticker of the Lamborghini around town, I hope it doesn't make somebody go say, hey, I want to go rob this Lamborghini one day. I don't know if that's like what turns somebody who is not a criminal into a criminal. I just think from a psychological standpoint.
Yeah, I guess you just never know other people's intentions. Like from my perspective, it's like, I'd rather kind of err on the side of skepticism because I know my own intentions and I know there's a lot of good people in the world, but I know there's a lot of crazy people in the world. And, I don't know everyone's intentions and, everyone's not a good human. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what people can do, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's definitely for now, you're right. It's definitely more of like people are targeting you through, through online means, right? It's not in person. But even so, online is, if anything, there's more people targeting you online because there's more people that know about you online than they know about you in person. So that was actually, you sharing that story of you like connecting your wallet to some like phishing.
Yeah, I'm not always,
I was like, oh my God.
I'm not always the smartest guy in the room. I mean, like, this helps me understand why people get their stuff stolen. Not that I'm like saying they're not to blame. That obviously you click the button, but because I had minted, like if I never had minted any rich babies, I would have not cared. But because I did, and it was a very clean mint and successful project, I was in DMs with the direct Twitter account, to them. So they were helping me find CryptoPunks to match with. So I had already, what are the chances that me and my gold ape match up with an alien CryptoPunk that's like a, once in a bajillion type of match where, both of us are ready at the same time. So I was able to get the most rare of the two rich babies. So when I see a picture of an alien CryptoPunk, again, to go to go match with, I'm like, oh, I'm jumping on that because I want to be the first. I want to be the one to match with the alien. So it was like that extreme FOMO that you do when you just get tagged into a post. You don't do the research of like what the actual Twitter name of that project is, and that website you click on has a capital I instead of a lowercase L instead of a capital I. You don't see that. And then I think what saved me is first my apes being on a cold wallet where I had to, I would have to think to press the buttons on my ledger before confirming. And then also the fact that these transactions popped up without me even clicking on a button was a red flag. But they could have just designed a website where it said mint the alien CryptoPunk and ape together. If they had copied it exactly how it was, and I clicked the mint, and then the gas transaction popped up, I don't think I would have checked to see if it was actually sending off the Bored Ape or not. I would have just clicked confirm. So they shot themselves in the foot by automatically popping up gas transactions before you click on the button. So that helps me realize, okay, this is how people lose apes, because they probably clicked on a legit button to like perform a trade or connect to a website to mint, and you click the mint button, and then what pops up is, if you don't look in the top right hand corner and see that you're sending an ape to the Bored Ape, through the Bored Ape smart contract address, because if you don't save that in your context, you're not even gonna care what the address says. You just basically click on confirm. So if you just hurry up and click confirm, and like it only takes like half a second lapse of judgment, and then like the next 5 seconds you're like, oh, I did it, So again, that was a lesson learned. Like now I see the full story of why people lose their apes, and I can't like pick. I never really did. Like I never publicly said, hey, change your profile picture, not like that. I'm not like that mean, but I can now relate to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Talk about these rich babies, if you don't mind. I'm checking it out for the first time. It seems pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
So
you
can describe it. Yeah.
So there's this guy who buys and sells a lot of CryptoPunks. He's getting into apes now. It's pretty cool. He's called Punks OTC. So he has all these bots and stuff and trades floor CryptoPunks and always undercuts the floor, but then undercuts enough to where somebody else undercuts, and then he buys it and he flips it right back. And he's made a lot of money doing that stuff. So I went on his Twitter because he was, doing some apes and stuff, and he started shilling the rich babies, where he would make some babies with ape owners. So basically, you have one CryptoPunk owner or one ape owner, or you could, if you have both, you can do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. You create a mint link using it's a one-time use. So once it's used for your NFT, you can't use it again. So you create a mint link and you send it to the companion project owner. So if like he had a CryptoPunk, he could send me a link to his CryptoPunk, and then I would go to the website just reserved for that link, and I click the mint button, and a list of my apes pop up. Which apes have I used? Which apes have I not used? So I pick which ape that's still available, and I hit mint. And then it makes two babies, one baby for him, one for me. And it randomizes the traits of the apes combined with the traits of the CryptoPunk. And so maybe one baby might look better than the other, but it's pretty much an even fair share of like, one baby might get the hoodie, the other baby might get the hat of the ape, for example.
Yeah.
So I did it. I minted about 25 or so. I wanted to save the rest for rare CryptoPunks because I'd already done the alien. And I'm like, I don't want to use my rare apes on floor punks. I want to maximize stuff out, but they've closed the public mint for now. So I forgot what the next phase is, but there used to be a Tinder page where you could make your link public to the world. So it'd be first come, first serve. Whoever saw the punk could mint with their ape, or whoever saw the ape could mint with their punk.
Okay.
So I thought it was a pretty cool project. I mean, reputable CryptoPunk, high, well-known owners were using it. So they needed people with apes, and I stepped in and minted a lot. So that's what made me like, of course, the first time I'm talking to the project guy, the first time, I'm doing it, I'm like, are you rugging me because I'm using a hardware wallet and I have to, validate my apes in there? And like, no, it's not a rug. So it's like always that first time you do it. It's really scary. But once I did it the first time, I'm like, okay, I trust this person. And CryptoPunk, CryptoPunk OGs were using it. I could see it on their Twitter accounts. It wasn't like any fake rugs or anything. But and then once I told him about the fake website and how I almost got there, he had it taken down. He used whatever website client, whoever web domain client to get it taken down. So the floor price, like I was, I'm a quick flipper, so I was selling them all the way down to like 0.2, 0.15 ETH. And yesterday, maybe the day before, it hit like 1 ETH. So it's like, oh my God. I turned down, I got free money, but I could have 4x that, 5x, 6x that. So I still have a couple of rare ones left, and floor price is like 0.7. Somebody had bid 0.8 on a top hat that I got, so I accepted that one. But other than that, we'll see what happens with their next, their next move.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's a cool mechanism there. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Do you don't have a punk?
No, I sold my punk in December. I had one from the selling off my dogs at like 0.5, 0.7 ETH. So I was able to get a punk at like 14 ETH. Rode it all the way up to 150 in the glory days.
Wow.
All the way back down to 50, and I sold mine for about 51 because I wanted to undercut the Bored Ape floor to send a statement and say the Bored Apes flip. And then one of my guys, Steve Fink, he made a bot to immediately buy the CryptoPunk because I undercut the first one. So in the same second that I
is that you? I remember that happened when you were the first one that flipped it for. It was like a second. I do remember that happening.
So he bought it, and then the flip undid itself. But then the next day, I took the money from that sale, and the floor price was tight, so I was able to buy the ape to really flip it. Not for good, but like a legit flip. It lasted longer than a second at that point. And then so I would like to get back into CryptoPunks, but this is another piece of advice. There's a Sushi Shop token called Punk, and it connects with FTX's vault of several dozen CryptoPunks, and it's very liquid. So you can buy fractional Punk tokens. By the time you get to 1.03, you can trade it out for one of their floor Punks. So it's a way of dollar cost averaging by buying in fractional Punks without concern that the liquidity would dry up. It's very, very liquid. So it's basically
NFTX. That's a good idea. Yep, it's a good idea.
So I'm no longer interested in locking out my ETH into a full floor Punk. If I could just go buy their fractional cost, I could buy a tenth of a Punk for 6 ETH and get the same gains percentage wise if the floor price rises because other people were buying in that token as well, trying to get fractions. So that's a good, that's always been around. So I really appreciate that token. But now that, for example, if I don't have the ETH to buy 60 ETH Punk and like a big announcement happens where it's like all Punks get ApeCoin or something like that. If I'm already in the Punk token 6 ETH and the floor price, let's say, goes up by 30 or 40%, I won't get all the gains from owning the full Punk, but I'll get, 2 or 3 ETH gain from that 6 ETH, which is fine with me. It's still profit.
Mm-hmm. And are you familiar with the V1 punks? You have any thoughts on that debate question? You know about those?
I did. And, I was so involved with the Funks project, as Jenny mentioned, when I sent her the funk, that V1 is almost like a companion. We're not companion, but sort of like same story arc as the Funks. V1s were DMCA'd by Larva Labs. But before that, Larva Labs actually, flooded the market with their own V1 punks to sell. So it was like they DMCA'd themselves, which was a very like meme quality material and probably signaled the end of their reign as the top, company in profile picture Web3. Could have possibly accelerated them selling it off to eBay. This is just my speculation. Obviously, I have no idea what happened. Which is another point. Side note, like if we're talking about blockchain assets and Yuga bought, all these punks, where is that on the blockchain? Why don't we know how much they cost in ETH? It's like it's like a Web2 type deal where nobody knows how much it costs, but any other deal that any of us do or join a team, everybody wants to know how much we get paid or how many ETH we get sent. So anyway, back to V1 punks. I don't know what their ceiling is, but they definitely had huge sales for the really rare ones. So those are really cool to hold on to. I just am a stickler for, I need to look at the date that it got minted. So these V1 punks were wrapped in 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
I feel like if they initially were around in 2017, they would be like a gajillion times more. But I think for me, any sort of historical NFT, to me, I think you have to keep the date what it is. You can't rewrap the V1 Punks minted in 2022 and call it a historical NFT. I feel like the V1 Punk has to be out as an NFT in 2017 for it to be more than the V2 Punks. But there's still probably room to grow for V1. I just don't like the fact that their mint date is new. So that's sort of like that's my historical NFT sort of analogy. Like, I'm only buying a historical NFT if was actually minted way back in history.
Yep, I hear that. Yeah, I've heard some people say both sides of that story. I've been looking at the regular punks. That's actually a really interesting idea to look at NFTX, like you were saying. I didn't even think of that. But I mean, the price now, it's down to 58. Like,
it was 59. It was 59 earlier today.
No, I know. There's someone put one out there. Yeah, it was 59.95, that one with the little scraggly hair. Yeah, and someone dropped one underneath that.
What is that? Are you on the website now?
Yeah, I'm on the website now.
What is it? Who's it owned by? Just give me the first letters of the address. Okay.
It's owned by OXEB F8C FFC.
Oh, okay. That's not the punks. That's not the punks OTC guy. He usually always at the floor.
Yeah.
But somebody probably undercut him. But yeah, I tweeted yesterday that there was 15 apes below twice the CryptoPunk floor, and now today.
Now it's right. Now,
it's crazy.
Exactly. Bored Apes is 125 now.
Yeah, it's crazy day. Like I would have never thought in year one we'd be 2x CryptoPunks.
I know. I remember the talk. Yeah.
Sorry, before it went up. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, and I remember people saying like Apes is going to flip the punks, and people would laugh at them. Like the OG punks would laugh.
I was definitely pro Ape, but I didn't see the flip happening in year one. It was more of a long-term bet.
Yeah.
So
of
even
course.
that surprised me.
I know.
And then the fact that we're double, you can't even get 2 punks. You can't even sell 2 punks to get an ape now. That is either the market's going to crash really hard, or like this is it. Like we're going to the.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
It shows you that anything can happen, really. There's going to be another project. There'll be another 100 ETH floor project coming down the pike sometime this year.
Please, somebody sign me up. I want 47 of those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to run this back.
If you get 47 of the next hundo, that's pretty good, man.
Do you have any predictions for what you think? I remember when I tweeted, Bored Apes are going to flip, or Doodles are going to flip the Bored Apes.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like roasting me like crazy. You're like, no, this is what everyone says, like when things go up. Anyway, do you have any predictions?
I was for sure trolling you. I did not mean to.
Jennifer got messed up on that one.
It's fine. No, everyone was like, this girl thinks she's flip the apes. No, let's show her that she's wrong. But is there anything that you're kind of looking at now that you're like, maybe this has potential to flip apes? Or, are you kind of like, no, I think apes are going to just kind of be number one, for years to come, just like CryptoPunks were
Smiles verse will flip them.
I mean,
I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm just joking.
I will get 43 Smiles verses or 47. Well, I have 4 now, so I get 43 more. I will make sure I have that much before it flips.
You have 40?
No, I have 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But so Doodle. I mean, Doodles was really pumping at the time Jenny said it. So I wasn't like seriously saying that'll never happen. It was just a joke because I just did a Twitter search on.
I was feeling that euphoria.
No, it was definitely there. Like I was a little nervous. I was like, you know what? I just did a Twitter search and like people were calling Pudgy Penguins to flip and all these other projects. And I was like, okay, I'm a bookmark Jenny's tweet for these other tweets and we'll go later. But the most scared I was when the Cool Cats hit like 15. Everybody was drinking the milk at 10 ETH and I didn't have
dumping the milk on their heads.
Yeah. So I was like, dang, like we didn't do this when Bored Apes hit 10. Like how did they get to celebrate? Like we didn't get that hype, So I was a little jealous. And I didn't own Cool Cats at the time, and they still follow me on Twitter. So I was like, dang, like I can't like talk crap about him either because they follow. So I'm like, you know what? Congrats to the Cool Cats. You hit 10, and then they hit 15. I'm like, that's like half the Bored Ape for at the time. So I'm like, if there's any, it was pretty much 1-2. I mean, I didn't care about CryptoPunks, flipping them or nothing, but I thought if anybody was going to come close, it was Cool Cats. And then fast forward to today, like Cool Cats are in that other side video. So it's like the probability of any of those other NFT collections that Yuga sort of like is holding hands with, they're not, I don't think they're going to ever flip Bored Apes. Obviously the mutants aren't. So to get to apes first, you got to pass the mutants, and nothing's past the mutants yet, right. Which is crazy, like still beyond imagination. I keep saying buy the OG instead of the mutant, but the mutant floor keeps going up. So I've been proven wrong there. So at first I thought it was Cool Cats. Now, then I thought Doodles might have a shot, and Doodles is still not in that other side video, so they still have a shot. Moonbirds or the Proof Collective. I think obviously Proof Collective is a lot closer, and they're a lot more scarce, so they could pass them. Genesis Cybercones was up there for a long time, even sometimes as high as 200 E4, but now they're down to like in the 40s. They still have a chance to come back maybe, but again, it's a smaller collection. So 1,000 versus 10,000, I don't know if people actually compare those two. So other than that, I mean, what else is out there? Azuki. So when Azuki did the airdrop, so I was in LA doing some licensing deals and came back before NFT and right before NFT NYC started. Obviously the play was to sell all my ApeCoin to buy Azukis. I did not do any of that. Or I sold my ApeCoin but didn't buy the Azukis. And I had my finger on the button at like 18, 19 that weekend. And it's like, nah, I can't do it. So then I like wake up randomly on Thursday morning and I go on Twitter. I like randomly wake up at like 5 a.m. I go on Twitter and it's like everybody's posting at the Wiz Khalifa concert. And now I feel how everybody else felt when they didn't get to make it to the first Ape Fest, like all of like the cope. And so that's exactly how I felt. And so like, I'm like, okay, I can't pick on anybody for not going to Ape Fest now because look at me, I'm like sitting in the bed at 5:30 in the morning watching people's videos from Wiz Khalifa's concert. And then I saw a video where it's like, the guy's like, check your wallets, and the guy goes crazy. And then I actually go check OpenSea and it's the beans, and the beans have hit like 3 ETH. I'm like, these people got like 6 free ETH just for going to the party or just buying something. I got so like the cope was I had so much cope that I bought like 11 beans with all my ApeCoin money and bought an Azuki. But luckily the floor price went up a little bit after, but that was at that moment I was like, okay, they're gonna catch us. So as of now, I don't know, like those are the only few projects that have a shot, but I mean I'm still I just think that if those projects ever catch up to Bored Apes will just be like super way higher. So I'm rooting for everybody to catch up because I think it would. I still think a lot of money would still flow into Bored Apes eventually, but we'll see.
Yeah, it depends on how long you're looking. Like there's going to be, I mean, and if the apes hit on the other side, they're going to be around. If they really do that right, they're gonna be around. And then you got to remember, as the fractionalization gets more popular, Jennifer and I talked about this a few weeks ago. Like there's only 10,000 apes, and many of them are never going to be touched. So there's only however many in circulation. Like as they start to get people, more and more people want to come in, you're going to fractionalize some of them. Like price could even go high. There's really sky's the limit, on the OG apes, and they keep adding new collections. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I saw a tweet from this guy, OG D Farmer. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but he has that nice looking pimp coat ape.
Yeah, I follow him.
So he tweeted last week about he thinks there's only like 500 apes left, and like it really like hit home. I'm like, here I am trying to like stack up my ape count, and I had 45 at the time, I think. So I'm over here like buying up NFTs, trying to flip stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Like, why am I even wasting my time doing this? Because if I don't get an ape today, it's going to be gone tomorrow, especially at the floor. And I'm like, if it's gone tomorrow, it's maybe it's gone to a flipper, maybe not. But people buy these apes, for like I wouldn't say for their entire lives, but it's like if it's their only ape, they're going to really market the heck out of it and do everything they can with it and not sell it, because it's pretty much the pinnacle of NFTs right now. So when he mentioned that number, like all made sense to me. Is like there's only like a few hundred apes left for like people to actually choose from to buy. otherwise, obviously you can get the floor rate, but it might not look that good. And so you're like, should I get it, or should I pay a little bit more for something I actually like? And so when you get to that issue where if you look at the floor right now, the apes are spread. This also happened in late January when it peaked at like 115. But if you look at the ape floor now, I checked it like an hour or so ago, but the apes are spread out like 1, 2, 3 ETH apart. It's like nobody's even trying to undercut at this point. It's just whatever you see there is what you get in terms of buying it. You go into the Discord channel and people are selling their apes like way above floor or like wanting to trade, but it's always like the same like 15 or 20 people. It's not like 2,000 people trying to get out of the project right now. And the only people who can see those posts are people who already own apes. So in order to get a good deal for an ape, you have to already own an ape. So that's it makes it even harder for people on the outside to find an ape they like at a good price. And all those factors, like you mentioned, with people fractionalizing, moving different wallets or taking loans out from them, that reduces the supply count. And, that's how we end up where we are now, all the other side anticipation. I got an ape for 102 ETH on Monday morning. And now look at the floor price. Like I had to get it when I got it. If I didn't, if I just waited 2 days, look how much more money I would have had to save up.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy because a lot of projects, there's, like you said, there'll be like 2,000 listings or something. There's only 752 listings on OpenSea. And something I just noticed too is that if you're looking through, it almost seems like rarity isn't like, I feel like rarity kind of used to matter a lot more. And things would kind of be priced a lot higher if they were a little rare. It kind of seems like, it's not too much of like a bump up for things that are a little rarer. I think that probably because they kind of get the same perks. There's not really perks of having something rare for a Bored Ape besides, maybe you just want the flex of having something rare, but you would get the same amount of, you were to get the same amount of ape tokens, same amount of perks, regardless if it's like a floor ape or a rare ape. So really it's just like aesthetic.
Right. And I answered, I think this is a guy named Linus Caldwell on Twitter. He tweeted that I think he probably has a lot of Moonbirds, but he was saying, one thing that Moonbirds does great, which obviously haven't proven yet, but is that they give better benefits to more rare Moonbirds. And I'm not going to take the time out to study the rarity table of Moonbirds, nor do I want to spend the money on them to buy rare ones. But, my retort to that was, who determines the rarity? Like, is it in terms of apes, is it the ape with the, rarest trait? Like my gold fur is the rarest fur. Do I get more benefits than like, say, the rarest, hat, for example, like a trippy captain's hat, even though the floor price for the gold fur is way, way, way higher? Like, do I get, how does that work out? What if somebody had like 3 super rare traits, but none of them were gold fur? It's like, do they get more benefits than like, so it's like, who determines rarity? Is it like based off of market prices? And what you say now is sort of like kind of squished together, or do they, is their rarity table like fair? Like, do they weigh the traits different ways, or they're all weighed equally? Like, does the background color matter? Background color is a trait as well. So I thought there was too many factors in determining benefits and, sort of like rewarding people with more rare apes. And I think since Yuga has been hands off on that, from that, they gave us a random dog, of course, and the dog had its own rarities, and our mutants had the same rarities. So they've played both ways. They've given us something that was random, and they've given us a chance to make our own rare mutant because we could buy a rare ape and the serum for it. So I think they played it the right way given what they had. But it does open up stuff, for a team like Moonbirds to come and say, hey, here's your rarity. Here's what you're going to get for being this certain rarity. And so they can have more hands-on approach and sort of control like what people should be buying and stuff. But I think Yuga's sort of like, let us figure it out attitude. I mean, you look at the success of the project, it really has worked. And also, and yeah, I think that explains why, like you say, you get the same benefits now. So you can sort of snipe some rare apes close to the floor, or just make some nice trades if you want to upgrade. So, here's what I was going to say. So the traits that do perform well, we as a market pretty much already figured it out. It's only like a handful of traits that really rule everything. It's like gold fur or trippy fur. That's all that matters. Anything after that is sort of close to the floor, with the exception of noise maybe and death bot. And then with the eyes, it's like nobody cares about the eyes, but if it's blue beams or laser eyes, it's super expensive. Everything after that, you'll see at the floor. The mouth, the mouth trait, if you don't have colors in your mouth, then nobody cares about the floor price of that or the rarity. So like we've figured out like what shines out. Merch for the hat, merch for the shirt, anything else is kind of like whatever, except unless you're like a king or a king's robe. And then for the hat, of course, like trippy hat, that's pretty much the most for a hat. For clothes wise, also add the suit in there. If you have the black suit, that's a big deal. And yeah, that's pretty much, cross earring, even though like a lot of apes have no earrings at all, cross, and you can't really see the cross there, but that's sort of a nice little flex. But even so, like cross earrings are near the floor as well. So the market has only figured out like a handful of traits that really drive high floor price.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're talking about. It's like you really study the traits. Suki was telling me you have a whole in-depth spreadsheet on traits, and you discover things like twins. Like there's a couple like Bored Ape twins, right? And things like that. So you're really into the apes. You're really obsessed with them. It's like your thing. It's like your bread and butter.
When they first came out, I mean, that was like all I had to do was make us. That's pretty much all I had is research. There's no Rarity Tools website, so I had to make my own spreadsheet. Luckily, somebody posted a Google Sheets of like all the apes and their traits. And I just turned it into numbers and just was obsessed with like, okay, which ape combos are this? And like once I discovered that there were twins, I was like, okay, let me find every twin in here and see if I can collect some. So I do have my one set of twins. It's hard to get them because we're in the same situation where people don't want to give up their forever ape. So if you have somebody's twin, it's like that awkward moment. It's like, you're really going to ask them to give up their own ape just so you can have twins. What are they going to do after that? So they're going to charge a lot, well above the floor price to give up the ape that they put so much time and effort into, marketing. Right. And in the Swiki, like her ape jumped off the charts for me in terms of like the rare qualities behind it. If I have a moment, what is her ape number? I'll give you like I'll tell you what I saw in her ape. Let me see if I go to her Twitter page. I'm back on the laptop now.
I'll see if I can find it too. Oh, Bored Ape 5273.
Yeah, so I always want to do this on the show. Okay, so it has 7 traits, right? So Shuckerman Dan had it listed like at the floor for like 0.4 something. I was like, whoa, this is 7 trait ape. And it has a 1 of 1. It's the only ape with the bone necklace and the girls, short hair like that. So not many apes have a 1 of 1 combo of 2. There's only 917 apes that have that. So it's like, those are like things I look into where like, it's a 1 of 1. So you won't see that again. And 7 traits, of course, only less than 2,000 apes are 7 traits. So it was pretty high ranked in Rarity Tools as well. So those are like the top 2 or 3 like main things I saw in her ape that was like really special. And if you take the background out and combine any 4 traits, there's 15 possible combinations, and 14 of those 15 are 1 of 1s. So that puts in the top like 2,100 or so apes. But the fact that it sort of helps you realize that if you just look at her ape, it really looks like a 1 of a kind ape. And so I think that's maybe she probably didn't run the numbers like I did, but when she saw that I bought the ape and I told her I was going to sell her one, when she saw that I got that one, she like fell in love with it immediately. So I was like, okay, I'll sell it to you. And I had a nice flip. I flipped it for like 0.79. But I could have gotten more for it. But it was one of those, okay, I'll take the profit. And then, just for being a good friend, I sold her for cheaper. And it definitely like was like the best sale I've ever had, because look at what she's done with our apes as a project since. Like she's gotten on to Punk's Comics, she's gotten a mural in LA. So it's done so much for the project as a whole that it would have been like my, 10th best ape that I really wanted to use. So I probably would never show it off anywhere. And the trajectory of the history of the Bored Apes would be like so different without her ape. So that's what I liked about her.
Nice. That's a nice little shout out. Yeah. And to those listening that maybe this is their first episode that they're listening to. We did interview Swicky as well, who Franklin is talking about, if y'all want to check that out. But yeah, the community building up a brand for their ape has definitely helped, move the floor price. And a lot of people have said that without the community, the Bored Apes would not be where they're at today, because, a lot of people just took matters into their own hands, especially with full commercial rights and the ability to kind of, use your IP as you please. A lot of people just ran with it and, really made it their mission to kind of make their ape famous and make a name for their ape.
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, I bought a lot of apes, but seeing everybody else do that, it was like pumping my bags without me having to do any work. Like I didn't have to go brand every single one of my apes because, other people were branding their apes already. So it's like anytime that somebody did something successful with their ape, like we already now we have a restaurant in Long Beach, California.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime something like that happens, it like pumps my bag. So like, it's almost like people are doing the work for me, not calling myself lazy, but calling myself lazy at the same time. It's like, hey, I can just sit around and let these, everybody else live out their dreams and market their apes to the best of their abilities way more than what I could do with, my ape, especially one that's way down the list on me. So I'm really proud when people do that. And like you say, being the first collection to really market those full commercial rights was a big deal. And I think that's what helped early success, is when people got to see immediately what we could do with our ape as soon as we own it. And me as a non-artist, for me to be able to use the art in a way as if I own the art, which I do now, like I can say it's my art. That's a really big deal. It's almost like, I drew the picture myself, and I never had that power before. I was barely even into art. Like I wouldn't even know anything about what made good art. Yep. But now I have a Bored Ape. It's like, now I'm an art expert because I have an epic piece of art right here that I can do a lot with.
You have one of the largest art collections in Jacksonville.
Let's go.
I know, right? It's Tyler Says on Twitter. He posted a meme that's like, yep. I don't manage a NFT portfolio or something. I manage a 7-figure collection of digital assets. so I can say something like that now, where it's not just a picture anymore. It's like a really big deal in terms of large collection.
Yeah. That's for sure, man.
Well, it's been an hour and 20 minutes here. I want to be respectful of your time, Franklin, because I know you have a hard stop in like 5 minutes or so. So, Michael, any closing things you want to say before?
Real. So, obviously, thank you for being here. You're a super humble guy. It's really great talking to you. Hopefully, if you do come down to Miami, we get to immediately shake hands or maybe grab a lunch or something. But the only other last question I would have is, and not financial advice, but are there any upcoming projects that you have your eye on that you're excited about? Maybe just because you like or you think are going to be good or anything like that?
That's a good question. So I spent the most money on any project other than apes into the Creeps project, and I didn't go too well because I bought at the very peak. Mm-hmm. But I think there's I'll be able to make a new part of their collection soon. So I'll be interested to see like how that turns out in terms of bringing more people in from the public. So that's a project I've already invested in a lot. A project I've invested in also a lot, but not nearly as much, is the Boring Ape Chronicles. And I was way too late for that. There's, those episodes are sitting there probably like way less than like 0.1, 0.2 ETH. There's utility for owning a full set of 6 episodes. Now some of these episodes aren't even listed. They're going for like 6 to 10 ETH. Oh, so wow. I bought a full set for like 18 or so ETH a couple weeks ago, which again, that was, I could have gotten like 10 full sets for that much back in the day, but mm-hmm. I digress. And they also coming out, the artist is Tempers. So Tempers made Nouns. So, Nouns is very popular, going on forever, selling double digit 30, 40, 50 ETH every day. So Tempers made the Boring Ape Chronicles. He also released an ebook, and the ebook I think is like 3,000 or so. The floor price went from like 0.2 ETH maybe like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and now it's like almost 2 ETH now. So that was a good 10x for people. And there's speculation that owning the ebook may get you some utility in the actual generative art project called Chimpers. So chimpers, I think, is 5,555
Is
supply.
that chimpers? CHIMPERS?
Yeah, chimpers. Yeah, chimpers. So anybody who got in early, which should be me, that was being lazy. People with full sets could mint a diamond fleece, and a diamond fleece would get them a Genesis. If you could trade, it's almost like a serum. You could trade in, burn the fleece to get a Genesis chimper. There were some diamond fleeces that were left unclaimed. So Temper, the artist, is auctioning off the remaining of those this week. So after this week, they will be out, because he already burned the fleeces and became the Genesis chimper. So by the end of the week, the Genesis chimpers will all be out of his hands. There's still probably 20 or so left.
I see that. Yeah, there's 27 left to come. I'm on top of it already. So there been I bought one for 30 each. I bought a fleece for 30 each, trying to flip it, and I sold it for 25 to try to chase some apes. So I sold it at a loss, but somebody did actually sell for 30 after, before the fees. So that's probably the going rate for them, even though there's none listed. If there's none listed, it's out of luck. So the only way to get into their Genesis project is to buy already minted Genesis. And those sales, they're anywhere from, 16, 20, 30 ETH based on how these auctions are going. But you have to just, if somebody wants to sell in secondary, you got to reach in there. So buying the Genesis gets you 6 allow-list spots for this project. So having a full set of 6 episodes, which you would have gotten the free, if you had burned your fleece, you would also have gotten the free Genesis for. So you would get 8 for the full set and then 6 for the Genesis temper. So I just have a full set because I bought it way after the fact. So I'm getting 8 slots. And there's also like an extra animation episode. So that gets you 1 spot. There's no utility announced for the ebooks yet, but they've been flying, as I mentioned. They're like 10x what they used to be. So people are speculating that they get you a allow spot, but they're cheaper than the actual stuff that, buying an episode, I think gives you, also buying an episode gives you 1 spot as well, either 1 or 2 spots, I forget. But so if you were smart, you'd buy the episodes or the animation or a full set to get your spots. But if you're a degen or if like some inside info, you buy the ebooks and stack up the ebooks to get you some spots. But it just hasn't been announced yet. But maybe if it does get announced, they'll send it to the moon even more, or it could be already priced in. So you can do the math and say the price of allow this spot should be equal to or close to, a little higher than the floor price of the actual Chimpers collection when it starts minting, right? Because why would you pay, 2 ETH for an allow this spot and then sell the mint for half an ETH, right? That's a huge difference. So the full set of 6 is the highest utility for this, for Tempers going forward and whatever he does. So I almost was going to sell it, but now that I'm like tapped out on apes, there's no need for me to trade up for one anymore now that this land's coming. So I'll try to hold on to this full set because that puts me at the highest status. So that's a long explanation of the project. Like I said, I was so late to it. I'm trying to just regurgitate everything I could find out about it. But because of the name and the guy that's behind it and the success of the nouns, it's going to have a lot of eyes on it by the time it starts in about a month or half a month from now. Sorry, my dog is. But yeah, that was the one project I have my eyes on. I don't really know of any others. Moonbirds is doing great, but they've already released. So there could be another collection from the Proof Collective that goes pretty well after that. But yeah, I think a lot of people will pay attention to Chimpers coming up.
Cool.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, anything you want to say before we wrap this episode up, Franklin? It's been really awesome having you on the show. And yeah, seriously, thank you for your time and for just, sharing your story and kind of the insider, behind the scenes of what, the reasoning behind certain decisions are, because, often people just see what you tweet on Twitter and it's like, they don't get to know the full story. So, but yeah, anything you want to say before we end this?
Nope. I had a blast here on the interview, and yeah, I hope people get to learn more about me. I'm just, I'm having fun out there on Twitter. Anytime somebody picks on me for my collection or my collages, it just makes me want to do it some more just to be fun. I'm not like that type of person in real life. I'm just a regular guy. So it was good to talk with you guys, and I definitely like really wanted to be on here. So it's definitely like a really big achievement to finally be on here. And so I wanted to give it my best shot, and I hope it does well. And if not, just bring me back on next time, and I'll make sure I do a lot better next time.
Yes, definitely. We'll have to have you on again sometime in the future. Thank you for being on our 51st episode. Hopefully everybody listening in enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.